My dear students of Honors Part 2, you will come to the class. Hopefully, you are completely aware of this current pandemic situation and you are taking necessary safety measures to keep yourself safe from this pandemic. And hopefully, you have already registered for vaccination and please inspire others to get vaccinated. I am Siddhartha Shankar, an assistant professor in English in Government Horoganga College, Munshigans. Dear students, from your course Introduction to Drama, we are discussing Oedipus Rex, the greatest classic tragedy, one of the greatest classic tragedies by Sophocles. And today I am going to mm, give you some idea about the characters of this tragedy. So, this tragedy is named after King Oedipus. Oedipus Rex. Rex means king. So Oedipus is the protagonist of this great tragedy, and he became the king of Thebes before the action of this tragedy started, uh, and through the flashback or through some other sources, we come to know about the background or what happened before the tragedy starts. And he is renowned person, he is renowned for his intelligence, and he also solved a riddle of sphinx, and thus he saved the people of the city of Thebes. Therefore he is greatly honored by the people of Thebes. And the supernatural being sphinx asked him one question that is very successfully solved by uh, Oedipus. But before that, immediate before that, he killed the king of Thebes unknowingly, and he did not know that that person was his father. I will tell you the story later in my later classes. Today, I am going to tell you only the characters. So the kingdom had no king at that moment, and people selected him as the king of the city of the country, that Thebes. And as a king, he had to marry his mother, Mary Jocasta, the wife of King Leos, the former king of Thebes. But unfortunately, that lady was his own mother, biological mother, but he didn't know that. So therefore, this is a tragedy for Oedipus. And Oedipus, that name Oedipus refers to swollen foot, and during when he was born, it was prophesied that it was predicted by the god that he will kill his father and marry his father, and that's why he is when after immediately after his birth, his legs were tightly uh, uh, his legs, two legs were tightly tied with rod with rod, and he was banished beside a hill, beside a mountain. And due to that injury, his legs became swollen, and the shepherd who gave him named him Oedipus because his foot or the feet were swollen. And he was brought up in another country, and there his father was King Polybus and mother was Merope. So that was a long story. I will tell you in my later classes. But unfortunately, when he became the king of Thebes, he had to marry married his mother unknowingly, his biological mother, and he killed his father Laius unknowingly. So this is a great tragedy for mm, this in the life of King Oedipus. And Jocasta, the another important character of this tragedy. Jocasta was Oedipus's wife and mother. He was wife of Laius, and later Oedipus married him after the death of Laius. And Jocasta had one brother whom we will get in this tragedy as a character, and his name is Creon. So he is so Jocasta is Creon's sister. And in this tragedy, we will find Jocasta at the final scene, and we find that she is a very cool-hearted woman and very convinced one, intelligent lady, and she wanted to appease the confrontation, appease the uh, mm, that competition, or that outrageous situation between Creon and Oedipus. He wanted to make peace between Oedipus and Creon, and you know she came to know, she at first perceived the real identity of Oedipus, and she became very much terrified and go inside the castle and suicided, and she killed herself. So she also prohibited King Oedipus to search for truth, because this searching will bring great disaster in Oedipus's life. So she is a very loving hearted. Here we find that, and she had love for her husband, she had love for her sons and daughters, and she wanted to stop Oedipus, because this discovery of the truth will bring great tragedy, will bring a great misfortune for King Oedipus. So here Jocasta is a very important character in this tragedy. Uh, we here in this tragedy we will find Antigone or Antigone. Antigone is the daughter of Jocasta, and she is a child. Here we will find as a child, and Jocasta and King Oedipus. But we find him in this character in this tragedy for a very little time, for a little space of time. And Creon is a important character in this tragedy, and uh, he is the sister of Jocasta, that means the brother-in-law of Oedipus. And here in this tragedy we find that he is very much loyal to the king, that means he is loyal to King Oedipus, and he didn't have any desire to take over the rule of the country, Thebes. And we find his loyalty because uh, King Oedipus told King Oedipus sent her to bring Tiresias, and he also sent her to the temple of God to know about the truth. So therefore, here we find him as a person who is very much obedient to his king. But when King Oedipus, uh, King Oedipus suspected him as a conspirator, she became angry with King Oedipus and protested vehemently that no, he is not he is not involved in conspiracy at all. And of course, in this tragedy, he is not involved in any sort of conspiracy. Rather, he always supported the king. But it was the fault of the king that brought about the tragedy for the king Oedipus.